Wait, is your eye okay? How'd that happen? Who are you sparring?
I'm sparring a bunch of world champion heavyweights. I think Lawrence Okolie did that to me. He's like 6'6", 270.
Oh, that Jake does.
I think it's ChatGPT's lying to him. I think he needs to say on ChatGPT, give me it raw, uncut, and don't filter your answers. He's probably typed in ChatGPT, do you think I can beat Anthony Joshua? And it's been like, great question. Anthony came off a shocking loss in September. You have a great chance, Jake.
Any evidence as to how hard the sparring is or what they're doing. It might just be that they're tech sparring, like I said, but Jake isn't handling it too well, that he's getting clipped by them and they're just that much bigger and heavier that he can't quite take the power. His face is getting marked up and damaged.
Anthony Joshua clowns Jake Paul after a clip of Jake's black eye goes viral. Jake explained that the bruise came from sparring with heavyweights as part of his training for the upcoming fight. But AJ finds the whole situation hilarious. To him, Jake taking hits in sparring only highlights how out of his depth he really is. Joshua even laughs at the notion that Jake actually thinks he can beat a proven heavyweight like him.
Okay, how'd that happen? Who are you sparring?
I'm sparring a bunch of world champion heavyweights. I think Lawrence Okolie did that to me. He's like 6'6", 270.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. What are you weighing right now?
I'm like 215.
And you gotta get to what weight to fight AJ?
218, 220.
What's AJ's weight? 220?
He'll be like 250 in the ring.
Huh? 250?
Yeah.
Jake, 250 pounds he's gonna fight at.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua laughs at Jake Paul, pointing out that Jake can't even handle the power he's facing in sparring, yet somehow still believes he can beat him. AJ jokes that maybe Jake's GP is feeding him false confidence. He makes it clear there's nothing in their contract requiring him to hold back. He will use his full power on fight night. Joshua emphasizes that he's training seriously for this matchup, is excited for the fight, and fully prepared to show Jake the real difference between them.
I start believing in him because, like, they don't believe it because they're saying, how is he beating these guys? I think they can't get their head around, how did he beat Anderson Silva? How did he beat Nate Diaz? How did he beat Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's no stipulation in the contract where I have to take it easy on him.
Are you excited for this one, Anthony?
Yeah, really. I've trained really hard, so I'm looking forward to putting my skill.
Joey Knight breaks down Jake Paul's preparation, noting that Jake genuinely believes he can land something significant on Anthony Joshua. He explains that Jake has been sparring with Lawrence Okolie and other heavyweights to prepare for the size and power difference he'll face against AJ. During these sessions, Jake sustained an eye injury while sparring with Okolie, which he publicly shared as proof he's training with real power punchers. However, Joey points out that Jake hasn't shared the full details, what punches landed, or what instructions he was given during those rounds. Joey believes Jake fully understands the danger he's stepping into with Joshua, but still convinces himself that he can shock the world. The takeaway is clear. Jake is already taking heavy shots in training, and this is just a glimpse of the power and pressure AJ will bring on fight night.
Done well just for getting in with this fella who, if nothing else, is still known as a bit of a puncher, and Jake Paul has done even better in being able to legitimately put him on his arse. But that's one level of sparring. To be precise, that level is ranked 249th by BoxRec when it's looking at heavyweights. And when BoxRec looks at heavyweights, you have to go all the way up the list to find number 5 ranked, Lawrence Okolie. That is who Jake Paul has been sparring with over these past few weeks.
Trouble finding Hussein Mohammed early on.
And a lot of you guys will know this because Jake Paul showed the bruises and marks on his face and said that it was Lawrence Okolie that had done that. And faces don't necessarily tell you how a spar went. Some guy can have blood all over him, he can have a busted up nose, but he still won the rounds in sparring. But I can only imagine that this week has been a very, very humbling experience for Jake Paul. In fact, the past few weeks will have been eye-opening for Jake Paul. A past few weeks where he has sparred the likes of Lawrence Okolie, of Jared Anderson, and of Frank Sanchez as well. And being that I have seen Jake Paul go life and death with Tommy Fury, you can guarantee you that Okolie, that Anderson, and that Frank Sanchez have basically manhandled Jake Paul in there. And that experience would have been somewhat of a dawn of realization upon Jake Paul that this is actually happening now. So to an extent, I'll be honest, I actually feel sorry.
Carl Froch joins Tony Bellew to discuss the matchup with complete seriousness. Froch warns that the very first jab from Anthony Joshua will make Jake Paul instantly rethink signing this fight. He explains that Jake will immediately feel the mistake once he experiences AJ's power, even from a simple jab. Froch believes Jake has stepped into a challenge far beyond his level. Bellew agrees, noting that Jake is entering a world he does not truly understand. Both emphasize that Jake has never faced someone who hits like Joshua, someone capable of dropping world champions with basic shots. Froch adds that Jake lacks the experience, reflexes, and defensive instincts to protect himself against a heavyweight who punches with precision. In their view, Jake won't just get hurt. He'll realize too late that this fight is not something he can talk or promote his way out of.
Call him against Anthony Joshua. Massive unit, two-time world champ, still got a big punch. I think he's mentally fragile at world level if he goes against the big guns because of the knockout, especially the bar knockout when he got fucking splattered. You know what I mean? In round 5, and he got hurt early on and then he got done. And he's not been in the ring for 13 months.
Yeah.
But can you see a world in which Jake Paul is competitive in this fight?
No.
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 How do you see the fight going if AJ takes it serious?
It'll be over when he wants it to be over.
Thank you. So do you think it's going to be real, this fight? Do you think it's actually... So you think that Jake Paul...
You couldn't fake it. Do you really think Anthony Joshua's going to put his whole livelihood on the line for Jake Paul?
No, I don't think he would.
So there you go. It's over when he wants it to be over.
There could be some kind of tacit agreement in the background.
How?
Where they have a handshake.
Then that's illegal. You're going to jail.
Exactly, it's illegal. That's what I was going to say.
So you can't.
Because it's not an exhibition.
No, it's a fight.
So we're
and people are betting on it. Big amounts of money.
So we're watching this. I'm flying out there next week to Miami to watch it. So I'm going out there. He's laughing. I'm getting some old. So it's all good. But it's like Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua, 6 foot. Was he 6'6"?
About that.
Fucking. What's he? 16. What's 245 pounds?
He can't be a pound over 245.
What's
so
that in stone?
The best part, just on 17 stone or just under.
So Jake lost to Tommy Fury, and that's the one everyone keeps on. Do you think he's improved much since Tommy Fury?
Yeah, but do I think he's improved enough to be competitive? Unless I close my eyes and Josh is completely...
Henry, the analyst, offers a more neutral take on Jake Paul's black eye. He argues that people shouldn't overreact to the injury, as no one knows the exact type of sparring Jake was doing. He could have been practicing offense, defense, or following instructions that intentionally left him exposed. Henry explains that a black eye doesn't reveal the full story of a sparring session. Fighters often get marked up even during simple drills. He believes people are reading too much into the injury simply because Jake posted it online. At the same time, Henry acknowledges that sparring with heavyweights is not something most cruiserweights or light heavyweights do regularly. By insisting that these sessions prove he's ready for AJ, Jake is putting extra pressure on himself. According to Henry, the real truth will only be revealed on fight night, when the power difference is genuine and there are no restrictions for either fighter.
Enormous dude. But the thing is, for me, the black eye is not really evidence of a whole lot. For all I know, they're just tech sparring. They're saying, right, Lawrence, go in there. You're just going to jab Jake this round. Jake, you're going to practice defense. Right, Lawrence, Jake's going to try and knock you out this round. There's different kinds of sparring. Not all sparring is at full speed. In fact, a lot of sparring isn't. Lawrence could easily have given him that black eye by just landing a simple jab to his face. It's not indicative of any kind of intensity. It doesn't give away any information about how Jake is actually getting on in there. Even the best fighters will come out of training camp with a mark here and there. The other thing that we saw and that was called out in a recent interview clip was that Jake's nose looked slightly bent to the side and slightly swollen. It was called out by the interviewer, and Jake said, yes, it was Frank Sanchez who gave that to me.
You broke your nose? Is this new? I'm seeing your nose. Your nose is that from the same show?
More crooked, brother. I'm not gonna lie. The sparring, the heavyweights, my nose has moved a couple millimeters to this camp. A guy by the name of Frank Sanchez, he definitely cracked it a little bit, so it definitely has a slight little something in there. It's bad.
Frankie,
wait, hold on. Look at that, dude.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, Frankie.
I'm like Squidward, dog.
Hey, Frankie Sanchez.
Well, you got different types of power. You got the power that you generate, like in sparring,
right,
and on the heavy bag, and I'm controlling the sparring partners pretty well. I'm hitting them hard. They're hitting me hard. We're doing good rounds, and then the power in the gym hasn't dropped off either, so that's good. So all round.
Okay, because Anthony, you know, and people have already started saying this. Is there any clause that says you need to go?
Anthony Joshua spoke about his training, highlighting a very different approach from Jake Paul's. AJ says his sparring sessions are intense and balanced. He hits hard, his partners hit hard, and everyone leaves marked but wiser. These rounds, he explains, help him generate more power, maintain sharpness, and perfect his timing. Subtly contrasting his preparation with Jake's, AJ points out that he isn't the one getting hurt or exposed in training, framing Jake's black eye as a sign that he struggles to handle heavyweight shots, even under controlled conditions. For Joshua, this fight is just another challenge, and he is preparing with full intensity, making it clear he will not hold anything back. Chase Sonnen offered a blunt assessment of the matchup. He says that when he looks at Jake Paul, he sees no comparison with Anthony Joshua. Even with all the training footage circulating, Jake still appears to be learning, rather than someone capable of surviving against a former heavyweight champion. Sonnen respects Jake's effort and bravery, but emphasizes that courage alone isn't enough to win a fight of this magnitude. AJ, he notes, has been in wars with the best fighters in the world, while Jake is still proving himself against mid-level competition. In Sonnen's eyes, the gap is enormous, and nothing Jake does in training changes that.
Because people do this all the time. They'll be real dicks about it. Some guy will look great on the mitts. They'll go, well, the mitts doesn't count. It's like, well, it kind of does count. If I have you working out on the mitts from a year ago, and I have a new tape today, and I can juxtapose those, I actually can see some timing. I actually can see some speed. I actually can see some footwork. I can see some power, and I can compare it. Now, Jake is in a wildly difficult spot. Boxing is unlike, by example, track and field. Track and field is all about personal records. You do not need to be faster than the guy standing next to you. Right? Now, you can win and you can get trophies on that, but it's not actually your goal that your coach is working on you with. You just today want to be faster, throw further, jump higher than a previous version of yourself. Boxing doesn't work that way. It is straight. It doesn't matter how good you are. It is 100% comparative to how good is this guy. I understand that. But as human beings, we have to start somewhere. And I think there are many things that are going to be wins for Jake. I do not subscribe to the idea. Now, he does. He will not agree with me. But an older version of himself, as he looks back, will see that Chael makes a very fair point. There's a number of things that are going to be wins or not.
Wade, the host, responds to Demetrius Johnson's claim that Jake Paul could knock out Anthony Joshua because he's sparring with heavyweights and AJ has been knocked out before by fighters like Daniel Dubois. Wade explains why this logic is misleading. Just because AJ has been hit hard in the past doesn't mean he will react the same way against Jake. Fighters take punches throughout their careers, and while some may struggle to recover at times, it doesn't mean history will repeat itself. Wade emphasizes that Joshua still possesses an elite chin, exceptional recovery, and the ability to get back up and keep fighting.
Based on, well, I don't know if I'm, I hate that shit. We shouldn't be out here trying to cloud people for having a different opinion. You can say the opinion's insane, but the idea that like, oh, you got to be a fighter to know things, clearly, fighters sometimes are not the greatest predictors of fights, but then again, sometimes they are. And if Demetrius ends up being right here, he will have all the credibility for calling this shit. But we should just, attack the argument, or not attack, but like we should address the arguments and the points being made by Demetrius rather than be like, oh, look at this and throw it up as if, oh, Jake's a YouTuber. People make that mistake way too much. But he says that AJ's been knocked out with weird shots. Well, the Ruiz shot that AJ got hit with, AJ had just dropped Andy Ruiz, got very aggressive, stayed in the pocket with a shorter, smaller fighter, and those looping shots that he can land from range weren't as tight in the pocket because his arms are fucking long as go-go gadgets. So you can't get to the spot with those hooks sometimes as quick as a shorter fighter that doesn't have that reach and that range in their arms can get to the hook. And sure enough, Ruiz clipped him with a short left hook and wobbled AJ, and it's heavyweight boxing. He couldn't recover. If you want to say something about AJ, right? And this goes for the Dubois fight as well. The thing that Jake is trying to say when he says AJ is chinny, I disagree that AJ's chinny, right? And in the Dubois fight, Demetrius says that he got hit with an overhand. That was after he had been dropped a couple different times with overhands to begin the fight. And I have no idea what AJ was doing defensively in that fight. He was not being responsible. I think he almost felt like it was a foregone conclusion he was going to beat Dubois. He cannot approach the Jake fight like that. Like that would be the worst mistake you can make, is going in there being like, yeah, I got this in the bag. This man can't touch me. Whatever, that cocky attitude that sometimes AJ goes a little too far into and he pays for it. That's the way I think he showed up versus Dubois, and he paid for it. But one of the things you can say about AJ, if we're being rational, and I know the comment section on YouTube will not do this, but I am going to be, is that he doesn't...
Adola joins the discussion, admitting how difficult it has been to predict this fight. He explains that betting on the matchup is tricky because Jake Paul keeps surprising people, yet the logical pick remains Anthony Joshua. Adola says he has changed his mind multiple times as Jake continues to push his limits, but he still expects AJ to knock Jake out. He expresses respect for Jake, acknowledging him as a self-made man who has built his career from nothing. However, Adola notes that Joshua has far more experience, power, and ring knowledge. He sees the fight as exciting, but believes reality will hit once the punches start flying.
Change of heart or change of mind when it comes to this fight. Look, obviously I'm still 100% behind the big man, Anthony Joshua. I think he gets the job done, and I think he gets the job done well. That pleases everybody, because if he doesn't, my God, the knives will be out. But I was speaking to Vidal Riley the other day. Vidal came into the TalkSport studios, and it's always good to hear a boxer give their viewpoint on it. Because my viewpoint's always been that AJ has to go over there and knock him out in the first round for it to be a success. Anything past the first round's kind of damaging to where AJ is. And Vidal was like, that ain't probably going to happen. That fighters that have that kind of mindset, I just need to knock him out, they're the ones that don't get the knockouts, because they're just almost telegraphing what they're doing. They're rushing their work. Once you kind of just settle into a fight, then the opportunities kind of arise, openings come. Because he's gone into fights, this is what Vidal was saying, thinking I need to knock this guy out, and then those are the fights that go the distance, and it's like, shit, bad performance. Once you just kind of, have a look, which AJ will do, see what traps you can set, see what Jake Paul does, and AJ reads it, and that will probably come after the first round. There's always that phrase that's thrown around in boxing, and to be fair, it's thrown around when the very best take on the very best. That kind of feel-out round, that downloading of information. That should come very quick for AJ, but I now believe that will come in the second or third round. I don't think it's a case of AJ just does what I thought he was going to do, which is walk over, almost like Jake's just going to stand there and just land a shot and it's over. I don't think that's going to happen. And it might not happen because, look, ultimately...
Michael Bisping wraps up the discussion by acknowledging Jake Paul's knockout power, but emphasizes that it isn't enough to trouble Anthony Joshua. He explains that Jake simply doesn't possess the type of power required to hurt someone like AJ. Bisping notes that Joshua has been taking shots from elite heavyweights his entire career, fighters who hit far harder than Jake ever has. While Bisping gives Jake credit for his improvement, he stresses that progress alone cannot close the massive gap between their skill sets. He warns fans expecting a dramatic upset that they are misunderstanding the levels involved.
That's a really bad matchup for Tyron Woodley. But anyway, as I was saying, he does have some knockout power, so I'm not taking that away from him. But it's not like it's scary knockout power. It's not the type of power that's going to force Anthony Joshua to have to dance around the ring, get on his bike, play cat and mouse, dancing around, pick his shots and stick and move. No way. Remember what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia? He stood there, toe-to-toe, waited for the opening, threw a right hand. It was like absolute lightning, and the power was crippling. Every single right hand that Anthony Joshua threw, he dropped Francis Ngannou, who is a gigantic human being who does have truly one-punch knockout power, as we know.
I need to knock him out.
I like that. So Mighty Mouse, love you, bro, but what on earth are you talking about? Let's carry on.
Like a pop. Oh, you missed. Pop, like use that ring.